Okay, we're back and we're going to look at how to make a couch. In the process of making a couch, we are going to be really paying attention to smoothing and how do we control the roundness of an object. When we start with a cube like this, we want rounded corners, we want rounded edges. How do we create those? If I select my cube and hit 3, I get smooth preview. 1 takes it back to rough, so I can go back and forth between 1 for rough and 3 for smooth preview. You can see that smooth preview gives me this really nice round object. And if I come up to the render view and render it with Maya hardware, you can see that it really gets the roundness. Yes, there's these rough edges, but that's still pretty good compared to this. Render that in Maya hardware, gives me the cube. Smooth preview, Maya hardware respects smooth preview, as does the Arnold renderer, but we're not going to use that right now. That will come later. Maya software, render that. Maya software does not respect the smooth preview. It will still give us a rough object. You can see that the renderer works with the smooth, but right now I don't have much control between this and this. So I want to be able to control exactly how rounded my corners are, how rounded my edges are. I'm going to duplicate my cube and look at how to start rounding those edges. I'm going to use the Insert Edge Loop tool to add geometry so I can create roundness in this cube and control just how soft these edges will become. So go to Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, and I'll put one right there, and then I'll hit 3, and you can see that this edge loop, which I put close to this edge, is trying to hold the shape of that edge. So now I've got this edge loop supporting this edge, and this edge loop supporting this edge, and I hit 3 for smooth preview. I'll go to full object mode, get rid of that cage. You can see that that one corner that's fully supported, that's really showing up as a corner. And the rest of it is still trying to be rounded. But two edge loops together that, let's go to Q, select, there we go. Now we see both the edge loops. These two edge loops here and here are acting to support these two edge loops. Any two edge loops that have flatness between them, Maya's going to try and respect that flatness and hold that weight. If I really want to get this corner to stay precise, I add another edge loop. So Mesh Tools, Insert Edge Loop, boom, there it is. And I hit 3, object mode. You can see that one corner, really tight, softer, softer, and full round on the other side. So I'm getting full curvature on this side where I have no edge loops, and these two corners actually where I have the edge loops wrapped around, because the edge loops wrap around the whole object. That's where I'm getting those corners really tight. I'm going to add edge loops all the way around the box, spacebar to bring up this hot box, recent commands, split edge ring tool. Split edge ring tool is the same as insert edge loop. So I come down, trying to keep it relatively even so that each square is more or less the same size. And now, yes, each corner has a clear edge, or each corner has 3 squares helping to define it. And when I hit smooth preview, you can see how my whole thing is looking like, well, kind of like a dice or a die, a single die. Here's the cube with the hard edges, and here's the one with the real world rounder edges. Nothing in the real world has sharp edges like computer software. There's no true 90-degree angles, so the world is 89.5-degree angles. Close, but never quite perfect. Now, if we want a sharper edge here, I can double-click this edge loop and pull it closer. And I'm going to double click this edge loop and pull it closer. And you can see how as I do that, I'm getting a much sharper edge. And we'll see how close we are. Wow, this one's really close in the rough. I don't want to go past it. I'm going to lift this one up so it's really tight. Preview. There we go. And so I can have a sharper edge, but not so sharp as this. This is still going to be just a little bit of curvature between these two faces, a little more real-world softness. This is Unreal Sharp. If I want it much smoother, F10 for edge mode, push it down. I'll do this in the rough so I can see what I'm doing. I much prefer to work in the rough. Smooth that. And you can see, go to object mode and clear my selection. Now I've got this really rounded edge, very broad. And this is much more the shape of a couch arm or the cushions on the couch. So we're going to be using edge loops at different spacing to control the shape of the edges of the couch. So that's one of the primary Maya tools we'll be using. The other primary tool we'll be using is extrude. And if I go to face mode, F11 for faces, I click on the face and I come up to edit mesh being the menu for component level commands. And faces are components, so I hit extrude. And I get this widget which has scaling options and movement options. I'm not real fond of that widget. Anytime you're on an angle, it's hard for me to predict the results. So when it's flat like this, I can use a move, no problem. Or I can come over here to this little pop-up window and thickness. You can see I'm left mouse buttoning on thickness, and thickness extrudes it up. And then offset, I can taper it in, or I can flare it out. And I'm going to undo, bring it back, G to repeat. And if I do the offset right here, you can see how I'm just pulling it in, and I get a lot of support there around it. I create these four faces to support this one that I just extruded in. And then I can move it, change it, all the things I want to do. So insert edge loop tool and extrude are my primary methods for adding the geometry that I use to create the shape that I'm going for. So select the face, edit mesh, extrude, and I get these numeric options, which are great. I'm going to undo, and I'm going to click on this move tool, and I'm going to hold down the shift key. When I hold down the shift key, I also go into extrude mode with the move tool, and you can see how when I'm hovering my mouse over the red arrow widget, it says extrude. I pull it out, and there's my extrusion. And then I can move tool, scale it for the tapering. So that would be the equivalent of the offset, and I don't get that little window. But if I'm just, banging it out, W, R to scale with the shift down, I just extrude it again, and then I could move tool, shift, extrude in. It's really fast. I use both of those a lot. Sometimes I want the numbers, and sometimes I just want that free-flowing smoothness of holding down the shift and where's my Z, and just extruding like that. So either one is good, and those are my two main methods for adding geometry: extrude and insert edge loop tool. Okay, select these objects, consign them to pixel oblivion, delete, bye-bye. And I'm going to find my room. There it is. Focus on it, F. So here's my room. Two rooms actually, with a door to the outside, a door between the rooms, big old window, looking nice. Nice 10-foot ceilings for my fantasy house. Get rid of that extra light. Okay, so I've got this room, and I want a couch to go in it. Probably put it over here. This room is built 10 by 14 feet with 10-foot walls, and it's built in centimeters, so 1 centimeter equals 1 centimeter, real world scale. And we're going to build the couch to fit in this room. Now, I had to go and Google couch sizes because it's not the thing I know offhand. So here we are, couch from Poly Primitives. We're going to be looking at smoothing, like I just talked about. We won't be doing bevel in this video. I'll save that for another video. I prefer insert edge loop because it may take a little more time, but it's a lot better for learning how to smooth using the shape of the geometry. It's not just for rounding edges, it's for getting rounded shapes. And if you get this concept, it's really good later on down the line for when you're modeling a face, box modeling a face. You really have to understand how to get the roundness out of this cube that you start with. And it's all about the placement of the edge loops and how they relate to each other. Okay, couch sizes, 83 to 96 inches, 33 to 33, 30 to 33 tall, 24 deep. And if you Google couches, sometimes you can get the measurements from couch stores online, and I like the ones that actually give you the centimeters as well. And to be honest, that's why I'm using these particular dimensions. Those are the couch measurements that I found online, so boom, that's what I chose. I'm going to start with the base of the couch, the frame. So it's not going to be that tall yet, only about 5 inches, 12.7 centimeters. And I'm going to use these subdivisions to give me the edge loops I need to start making my couch. So create Poly Primitive Cube options box, and width is going to be 228.6 Maya units, so 228.6 centimeters. That's about 90 inches, so almost 8 feet. Height 12.7, and that's just the base of the couch, 5 inches, and 24 inches deep is 60.9 Maya units. Now, subdivisions width, I'm going to put in 3, and that's going to give me the edge loops I want that I'm going to use to make the arms of the couch. Only one height division. I don't want any there yet. I'll be adding a lot with insert edge loop tool later on. And depth division 2, and that's going to give me the edge loop that I'm going to move into place to give me the back so that I can scale out the back. Okay, I hit apply, and let's start rocking. Pull my couch out of the center of the room. It starts at the origin, 0, 0, 0 in XYZ space. That's where all things are created. I'll move it up a little. Doesn't really matter right now. I'll figure it out its relationship to the ground later. So here are my 2 edge loops that I'm going to use to make the arms. So F10 to go to edge mode. Double click one, shift double click the other to toggle it into selection. Double clicking on an edge gives you the whole edge loop that it's attached to. And I think they should be about like that. And then this one, double click on it, move tool, and there we go. And notice when I had 2 edge loops selected, I can use the scale tool to move them equally, so they'll be symmetrical. I don't have to turn on symmetry or anything like that. I can just use that scaling tool to move 2 objects through space. For one, I had to switch the move tool to move it because I'm not scaling it against anything. Okay, so I want to make these go up to make the arms. It's kind of hard to select that face right on the manipulator tool, so Q to go to my selection tool, get rid of the move tool there. There we go. And I want to extrude these up, so W, then shift, bring up my move tool. There's my armrest. That looks about right. Select just the back, pull that up, and there is the basic shape of my couch. Nice and neat. I'm going to select all these faces, And I want a comfy couch. Rotate them back. Dun, 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 about like that. Okay, now that rotation did some funky things. It messed this up, and it messed this up, and it messed these up. But it makes this couch so much more comfortable to recline in, and we all want to recline in our couch. I'm going to even push this back a little further. That kind of solves this part here. There we go. Yeah, you know you just want to sink into that couch now. This face, I'm going to scale it flat. Boom, flat, flat. There we go. And these faces, scale them flat, scaling it to the middle. So if I scale it, if I scale the axis that is pointing at the things I'm scaling and pull it towards the middle, it would just scale them flat. There we go, like that. Did that work? Check it in the front view. Yeah, nice and flat. Cool. I get optical illusions. Like right there, it's not looking flat in the perspective, but check the front and side, and sure enough, it is. And I'm going to scoot this one back just a little bit, and that'll help with the shaping of this. Okay, so there is my couch base. Now, if I hit smooth preview, oh my god, I've got this ultra cool 50s retro couch. Not what I want though. Oh, I want a little more shaping here. The couch I'm using is a rough model. Let's find my source images. So this is the couch I'm using as a rough model. I just found it on the internet, don't know whose it is. It's a cool modern couch. It's got this little angle here, this little angle here, and that gives it just a little more interest than most boring straight modern couches, and just this flare out on the legs. So this is what I'm going to be building right now. And yes, I go out and find reference material. Your work is always better if you have reference material. So what's this couch going to look like? I don't know. Could be anything. I'll go find one that kind of suits my mood, and this is the couch that suited my mood today. So to get on design, a couple of things. Q to be able to select that. These come out a little, but not that much. And then it's narrower up at the top of the armrest than at the base. So I select these two edges, scale them in. There we go. That's about right. I can't see what they're doing in the back there. I'm liking what I'm doing. We'll get some curvature into that later. So now, if I hit 3, yeah, there's my futuristic retro Jetsons. It's a retro future couch. Old-fashioned 50s look. Fun look, cool look, but not at all what I'm going for. You can see this huge swoop here as the smooth preview is trying to figure out what this cube should look smooth. Yes, I think of my couch as a cube because right now here it's still named P Cube 7. So to preserve the shape when I go to the smooth, I want to add some edge loops. Mesh tools, insert edge loop tool. And I'm going to come here and click, and you can see it runs the edge loop all the way around the couch. And I'm going to do another one right here. That's not going all the way around the couch. It's going on that side, so I'll add one pretty close to the same place on the other side. I hit 3, and you can see, wow, I'm holding that shape a lot better with just those 2 edge loops. But I want to hold it even better, so I'll go all the way around anywhere there's a edge that needs supporting. So all of these edges where there's a major change of direction, they need support. So they get an edge loop on the other side. That includes here on the arm, up here, front and back, here on the inside of the arm, the base of the couch, the base of the couch. Got to get the other side, inside of the arm. That part's set. That part's set from the other side. Oh, here's an important one. On the top right here, if I hit 3 right now, you can see it's kind of messy right there. So, well, if that's the look I was going for, great, but it's not. So I want control. I get control by adding that edge loop right there. And now 3 for smooth preview with edge loops all around this edge and this edge. I've got a nice clean corner there. Q, and let's see, where else do I need it? I think that might be it. If I find I missed one later, doesn't matter, I can just add it. But yeah, that looks solidly holding the shape that I want. Oh, yeah, not right here at the top. There's one more. So I'll hold down spacebar, recent command, split edge ring tool. Boom, there is my couch. Save it. Check the smooth preview. Okay, good to go. So now it's time for some cushions. Here we go. Create a polyprimitive cube. And I'm not going to worry so much. Oop, I lost my selection somehow. Doesn't matter. So here's a fun way to cheat. I've got this one that is already the divisions of my couch. I'm going to use this as my measuring tool. So F8, object mode, Control D to duplicate, and I'm going to turn on wireframe. Wireframe is up in the panel menus. It's a per panel control. It's this little box here, and it just, or it's not wireframe, it's add wireframe to shaded. So I just added wireframe to shaded. So 4 is wireframe, 5 is shaded, and when you click on that little icon there, it's blue, so it's lit up. Turn it off, turn it on. Wireframe on shaded. And that allows me to use the edge loops of this larger cube to determine the size of my individual cushions. All I have to do is line up the outer edges of my cushion with these edge loops, and I'll get the right size. That's about perfectly the size once I get my edge cushions in. And I can grab these two, scale them out toward the edge. Now, when I think about the shape of a cushion, let's look at it in the smooth, I want more rounding. If I push it hard out to the edge, well, that's past the edge, so it starts to look really weird, but, you know, I don't want anything that tight. I want that softness that looks like a couch, so nice and rounded, probably something like that, maybe even a little further. I can grab this one, move it to the back, but leaving it nice and soft. Recent commands, insert edge loop, split edge ring tool, there we go. And add those two. F8, and yeah, that's kind of a nice couch cushion shape. If I want to exaggerate it, I'll go to face mode, and if I single click this face, hold down shift and double click the one next to it, I can get the whole edge ring. I'm going to scale that, or not edge ring, it's a face, so face ring. Scale that up just a little to get more roundness in the cushion, and that's what it looks like in the rough, just so you can get that sense of what things look like in the smooth versus the rough. I want the face on the bottom, so there it is. R to scale. I'm going to go back to smooth shaded 5. Puff that up a little. There, that's a nice comfy couch cushion. I'm going to drop that out of there, push this down, duplicate it once, Control D, duplicate it twice. Duplicate it, rotate it. Yeah, I don't want to scale it from the center because that's scaling it in all axes. I only want to scale it in Y and in X, but I only want to scale it in the objects X or Y. So I'm going to go over to the toolbar over here. This is the scale tool. I double click on it, and where it says world, I shift to object, and you can see now it's got the object orientation, axis orientation. And for my move tool, which its settings popped up when I shifted tools, set that to object as well. Scale it so it's just right. Duplicate it. It's the rotation I need. Okay, rotation, where it's 110, I want minus 110. There we go. Move tool, and scooty scoot that over. There we go. And there is a couch, kind of looking like my design. Lost my design. There it is. Up here, it's a gentler curve than I have. So let's look at how to adjust that. Let's go to the rough. And F10 to deal with these edges. I want just these three on the top and their mates over here. And to move two sets of edges, of course, I can just scale them. R to scale, bring it in. And I want the same over here. So I'm taking away the support of this edge loop that holds this edge, and that's going to give me more rounding in the smooth. 1, 2, 3. And I want to move those down, and that's pushing it in a little, so scale it back out. And if I look at, yeah, there's some angle there, but not so much. And then I want these vertices, because I don't want to rely on just the smoothing algorithms. I want it to actually be in my couch itself. So I can scale those apart, move them down a little, move them in. There we go. And you can see that has given me, a nice round top there. I'm going to grab these supporters and just push them a little bit closer to that. I've gone off symmetry here. That's fine. Grab that one, pull it a little over here. Yeah, I don't think it's going to hurt anything to do it. Trying to get it lined up in that plane. Grab this guy. Move it over to support these guys. Looks like I need to pull it back some. How's that one? Yeah, I need to pull that back just a teeny bit as well. And there we go. 3 to check the smoothing algorithm. And now I've got those nice smoother corners up here. And again, I did that by separating out the edge loops, the supporting edge loops that control how sharp that edge will be. And then to make sure it's in the rough as well, so it's going to take light better when I light and texture it, I drop that edge down physically as well. So not just a smoothing algorithm, it's me too. Okay, object mode, select this, I don't need it anymore, save. I'm going to want the couch base here. Look at my legs. So this is what I'm going to want for my legs. There's a frame, wooden frame, goes all the way around, tucked in just a little bit, and the legs extrude out of that. Okay. In the real world, there's probably a seam right there, close up, that we can't see from here. Oh, you can see it on this one. There's the seam. Okay, so we know in real world it's a piece here, and then these side pieces, or the legs that are probably attached to the other struts on the side as well. So that's what we're going to make. Now to get that kind of a frame, I want to use a pipe. Create poly primitive pipe options box. Now this gives me radius, not width, height, and depth. So my previous size was 228.6, so I'm going to want half of that, 114. 114. Height, I don't want it that tall. Let's try 3. Thickness, let's try 4. I have no idea. We'll find out. Axis divisions, 4. The default is like 20, but 4 gives us a nice square pipe. 20 gives you a round pipe. We want square. No height divisions yet. I'll add edge loops for those later. I could add 2 height divisions or 3 height divisions now and I'd get what I wanted, but I'm happier to add it later. No cap divisions. Okay. Hit apply. And there is my my pipe, and it's a square, so I'm going to have to shift that to a right angle. But first I'm going to rotate it. You can see I'm rotating it on the green axis. So if I'm wondering which axis I want to rotate on, I'll go to the rotate tool and wiggle it the direction I want to go. And I can see I select it was green. Once it's active, it becomes yellow. I was rotate Y, 45 degrees. And now that's the shape I want. Go to my top view. Clearly, I mathed wrong. That's fine. I'm going to move the vertices. Pull these back. Pull these back. There's that edge. And I could scale these over. I'm just going to go ahead and drag them. So it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical. I don't care. I'm willing to bet that nobody's eye is going to catch it. That's nowhere near tall enough, so R to scale. That looks like a good sized frame. Zoom in. Oops. Looks like my couch, is on the other side of the room, so I want it over here where I can see it in my front view. There we go. And it's set in by that much on that side, about the same on that side. I challenge anyone to be able to visually tell that apart. Smooth on wireframe if there's any question. With wireframe I can see teeny bit. There we go. Okay. That gives me that nice little bit of inset. Check it in my side view. Oop. I was misled by this in the side view, so this is why we got to check our work in all our views. Sorry, I was misled by this part in the top view, and that's why we got to check our work in all views so that one of the optical illusions in one of the views doesn't give us a weird Picasso-esque cubist model when we want something nice and realist. Okay, so there's part 1 of my frame. Now, if I don't want to model the legs on both sides, which I really don't, I can cut it in half. Okay, I'm going to go to object mode and use the multi-cut tool, mesh tool, multi-cut. Drag that across, and that will set that edge loop across every face that I lined it up on. So I lined it up in the front, and it got the front of this and the back of this. And then I go to face mode, whoops, still my multi-cut tool, Z to undo, Q to get into select mode, my safe place where I don't have to deal with the tools that I left behind biting me. I'm just going to delete all those faces. Now I'm going to work with with this side, and then I'll mirror it, so I only have to do half the work at any given moment. Mesh tool, insert edge loop. I need to make the geometry to extrude the legs down, so I'm going to do that first. And because it's diagonal, I'm not getting what I want at all. So do that, and then straight to my scale tool. Whoop, F to focus on it so it tumbles around what's selected. Scale tool, world, there we go. And I'm just going to scale that flat. And then I'm going to move it so that it lines up right there. And then recent commands, hold down the spacebar bar to get that hotbox, split edge ring, R to scale it, and W to drag it right about there. So now I've got these three vertices really close in, and I want to merge them. F9, so I marquee select these three vertices, and I'm going to go to Edit Mesh Merge, this case Options box, and wow, my threshold is at 0. That's weird. You should default to 0.1. I'm going to say Edit Reset. Yeah, default is 0.001. That's normal. I'm probably not quite within that threshold, so I'm going to say 0.1 centimeter. And I hit Apply, and you can see in my heads-up display, those three became 1. Marquee select down here. There's my heads-up display saying 3. Hit Apply. There we go. Now, these diagonals are of no further purpose, so select, shift select, and delete. They don't have any extraneous edges, so I don't need to worry about using the delete edge tool to deal with the vertices they might have left behind. Do the same thing over here. Spacebar, recent commands, split edge ring tool, one here, R to scale, flatten it, make sure it's flat, W for move, slide it in. Zoom in so I can see what I'm doing. Right there, right there. And F9 for vertex mode. Try selecting all 6. Leave my settings at 0.1, hit apply, and I'm down to 2. Perfect, done. Ditch out those extra edge loops, forward a wireframe so I can see them. There we go. Or not edge loops, just edges. Oops, I did delete edge, unnecessary. I could have just hit delete in this case because there's no extra vertices to leave behind. So F11, boom, boom, and then I'll extrude like the cool kids do these days. Shift W, push it down, pull it out a little, and there we go. Getting the shape I want. Q to select, F10 for edges, F10, and I want this edge and its mate back here. I want to soften this part already, just like in the reference. There we go. And interestingly enough, the arc that this creates that is in the original reference couch, the arc is a really strong shape. So even though it's pushing out on a diagonal, the arc helps to really support the couch leg. So kind of fun to think about how the physics of the thing are made. And now I just need to add a little more geo here to round this in the rough. So spacebar, recent commands, split edge ring, boom to boom. Do the same in the back. Try to check how that's lining up in my smooth. In fact, I'm actually going to undo those last two. ZZ, Z, there we go. I'm going to redo them, but I'm going to line them up now. I'm doing them in my perspective view, but I'm lining them up in the front view to make sure they're more symmetrical. Good enough. F9, Q to get out of the edge loop tool, then F9, and W to move, and just give these a little bit of that arc shape that was in the original. Scoot those a little more. Okay, cool. I like it. Now to add our supporting edge loops, because if I hit smooth preview now, yep, super round, not what we want. I'm just going to pull this out so it makes more sense. Just shift it over in X. There we go. Okay, so let's add some edge loops. Recent commands, split edge ring tool. I'll start with this front leg here. We're coming pretty close to the edge, pretty close to this edge, and you can see how it's going all the way around, all the way to the back. Here we go. So that's that leg. I want to hold it here so this maintains shape. This one, that's only doing the front. I'll get the other one on the back. These two hold the upper and lower parts of the frame together. Okay. Let's see, I said I needed this one here. What else do I need? Is that it? Oh, I need this one on the bottom. I got the one on the front. And I need this one on the top that holds that in place. And I think that's all of them. Let's test. 3, 5 for smooth shaded, F8 so I don't have to see the cage. Yeah, pretty good. Oh, I'm still way off the proper dimensions in the back. No problem. We'll grab some vertices and shift that maybe right now. Actually, I want to move the whole thing forward a little. I like this amount of offset on the edge. I think this is too far in the front, so select, move tool. About yay. That looks good to me. Go to my side view, F9 for vertex mode, and I'm just going to grab all these vertices and pull them so they're about the same overhang. And now F to frame it in my front view, F8 object mode. So I look at the manipulator tool, I look at the red handle, I know the red handle is X, and I want to mirror it in the X direction. The handle always points in the positive direction, so mesh, because mirror is a mesh level command, object level command, mirror objects box, or options box, excuse me, X positive. There we go. Hit apply. And oh, that's really cool, but really wrong. It did it, since I rotated this thing 45 degrees, it did object mesh. And that's a really cool shape. So if you ever need a shape like that, you can mirror something like that, and it's kind of awesome. That would be a challenge to model. So undo. And I can see if I go to object, you can see that's what the axis it's mirroring across. So I don't want that. I want to set this frame back to world coordinates. So to do that, it's selected. I go to modify, freeze transformations. And now in the channel box, it's 0, 0, 0. And even though I'm an object settings, it's the same as the world. So when you freeze an object's transformations, you realign it to world orientation, and you says that wherever it is, it's at its proclaimed center of the universe. Let's see, move tool. Yep. Okay. Now I'll try mirroring it. Mesh. There's my window already there. I just hit mirror. Boom. And since automatically merge is on, it merged these. I don't have any border edges there. Just that one edge loop where it fused itself together, and I want to get rid of that edge loop. As a conscientious modeler, I want to get rid of every last bit of extra topology that doesn't contribute to my shape, and this edge contributes nothing to my shape. So I select them both, I hover the mouse over the edge, I hold down Shift or right click, delete edge, and that will get rid of not just the edge but the vertices that it would otherwise leave behind. If I just hit delete, it would have left behind those vertices. And there is my awesome couch. So I'm going to select the whole thing, object mode, select the whole thing, and I'm ready to combine it right now. Mesh, combine, here we are, and I'm going to move that into my room, and it's facing the wrong way, so rotate 180. Oh no, it was facing the right way. Undo. And slam it back against the wall, pull it through the wall because we don't want to appear to be breaking the laws of physics. Push it up against the wall for now. Push it down. About like that. There we go. There's my nice cool couch through the window. Give it a smooth. There we go. Turn off wireframe unshaded. Looks pretty good to me. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.